Think about all the huge public spaces we use every day. Train stations, airports, massive office buildings. We're constantly surrounded by invisible engineering that's there just to keep us safe. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most critical, yet totally overlooked pieces of that safety puzzle. So let me ask you a question. What do you think is the single most important safety feature that you've probably never seen or even thought about? I'm not talking about the obvious stuff like fire alarms or sprinklers. Nope. It's something much, much smaller. But in a crisis, it might just be the only thing standing between safety and total disaster.
Okay, so to find our answer, you gotta look up. I mean, way up, to the rooftops. That's where you'll find these giant HVAC systems. You can think of them as the powerful lungs of our public buildings, right? They're circulating the very air we all breathe. But, and this is a big but, keeping them running safely is a huge challenge.
And that leads us right into the first big problem here, the incredibly hostile environment these systems have to operate in. They're basically under attack 24/7 from forces both outside and in. You could say these systems are fighting a constant two-front war with the environment. On one side, you've got scorching summers with relentless heat and UV radiation just baking all the components. On the other side, freezing winters with heavy moisture, snow, and ice trying to crack everything open. This endless cycle of expansion and contraction puts an incredible amount of stress on every single part.
But as tough as the weather is, the most punishing threat, the one that engineers are really worried about, it doesn't come from the sky. It actually comes from inside the system itself.
And that threat is fire. In a fire, the standard materials used in these systems can degrade, they can fail, and worst of all, they can release these huge clouds of toxic gas. Suddenly, the system that was designed to provide clean air becomes a source of deadly fumes, completely compromising escape routes and putting lives at immediate risk.
So with the stakes this high, how do you engineer a solution? Well, you don't aim for good enough. You have to aim for the ultimate safety standard, one that's built on a really rigorous certification process.
That standard is called HL3, or Hazard Level 3. Now, this isn't just a recommendation. It is the highest possible safety classification for materials used in public infrastructure. It's a non-negotiable benchmark that measures exactly how a component performs under the intense stress of a fire.
To get an HL3 rating, a material is tested against three critical pillars. First, fire resistance. Can it resist catching fire and stop flames from spreading? Second, smoke density. Will it suppress smoke, making sure hallways and exits stay visible for people trying to get out? And third, toxicity. Will it prevent the release of those deadly fumes we just talked about? A material has to excel in all three of these areas to get the HL3 rating, no exceptions.
And this brings us right back to our hidden safety feature. The component that meets this incredibly demanding standard is a tiny but brilliantly engineered fire seal. This is the real unsung hero of our story.
Now, this isn't just any piece of rubber. It's a multi-layered defense system all on its own. It's a high-performance silicone seal that's been engineered to do four things perfectly. First, it provides that critical HL3-rated fire and smoke resistance. Second, it creates an airtight and watertight barrier, which is how it wins that war against the weather. Third, its extreme thermal stability means it stays flexible and effective in both freezing and scorching temperatures. And finally, all of this adds up to incredible long-term durability.
You know, in the world of industrial engineering, the highest praise you can give a component is that it's designed for install and forget longevity. That means it's so reliable and so durable that you don't need to do constant, costly maintenance. It ensures the safety system is always ready to perform, year after year. And this brings us to the core takeaway of this entire explainer. When you're talking about public safety, the whole system is only as strong as its most vulnerable part. And that's captured perfectly in this quote from our source material. Your sealing solution should never be the weak link. It's a powerful reminder that in these complex safety systems, even the smallest, most overlooked component plays a mission-critical role. This tiny seal isn't just a part, it is a promise of safety. And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As you go about your day, what other unsung heroes of engineering, these invisible shields, are working silently in the background just to protect you? It's something to think about.